to record our session. So that's started now. So absolutely welcome to everybody. Hello, Raymond.
Hello. Good morning.
11. And we're going to start. And first of all, just to let everybody know that Raymond and I, or mainly Raymond, would love to, what we normally do in these webinars, Raymond, is I know we've got a bit of an agenda to talk through, but please, everybody who is attending and who might join us later throughout, if they want to ask questions, we're happy to sort of field those, aren't we, Ray?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Have a look. We'd love you to dive in and just, ask us any questions at all that might come up from what Raymond is going to be talking about, or indeed things that you want to ask. First of all, Raymond, I'm going to ask you to just tell us a little bit about, I think some people will know you, but for those that don't, what you do, and more importantly, what you do with My Salon Manager.
So I am still a salon owner, still cut hair, and I run My Salon Manager with Simon, who's my business partner. Director of all of those sorts of things, and as I said, still cutting hair on the shop floor, so incredibly busy apart from the cutting hair bit at the moment. Not doing so much of that.
My Salon Manager is, Raymond, a group that you can belong to that offers support and coaching to salon owners and managers. Is that what you do?
That's absolutely correct. So we offer support. I think we're about 105-ish salon groups now.
Wow.
And it's literally a subscription thing. You pay monthly. We support pricing your targets. We do lots of things to help your business. There isn't actually a limit, I don't think, on what we're happy to do.
No.
It's quite good.
What I'd like to say before we start, Raymond, is that well done to you and Simon, because I think, like our guys at Good Salon Guide, as an organisation, you've offered an incredible level of support to your members and non-members through the pandemic. And, business advice and support has always been important, but more than ever. And I know that we've had a lot of our members say, just thank you for doing what you've done. And it's not just about answering business questions. That's one of the reasons I wanted you to come on this, because it's not just about business acumen. Sometimes it's just about a really kind, friendly, supportive ear to have a chat to. And I know you're really good like that. You've got a fantastic, calm manner. And that always helps me when I chat things through with you. And so well done to you and Simon for that, because I know you've offered a lot of support and it's been a really, really tough time. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I know you wanted to start a little bit about this. Lockdown 3 is very different. It's much more depressing. It's affecting people in a terrible way.
It's snowing outside though. That puts a smile on.
That's cool.
At least it's nice out there.
It's pretty. But I know that it's been really tough for people, this one. It hasn't been, the banana bread and Zoom quizzes. The kind of novelty's gone, because I think people's mental health, which we've been aware at a Good Salon Guide, is suffering. So what did you wanted to sort of say, first of all, that, what did you learn from the first lockdown? That was what you wanted to sort of start with.
I learned how to paint.
What, walls or nice pictures?
Yeah. I think every salon in the country had redecorated at some point.
They did, yeah.
What did I learn? I learned in the first lockdown that I think I reevaluated. And the reason I say that is because I've run a business for 12 years. 12 years ago, 22-year-old version of me was basically running a business fueled with adrenaline. And basically all my goals and ambitions there were to take over the world as a 22-year-old who's been honoured or lucky enough to have a salon land on his lap. And I say land on its lap, I had worked quite hard for it, but anyway. So 12 years ago, set up the salon, and I had all these goals and visions. I'm going to have 5 salons. I'm going to be riding around in a Rolls Royce. God knows what I was thinking. And I always remember one night, about 3 weeks before I own the salon, I've actually got to make this work. It's not just going to happen by itself.
Yeah.
From that point, for 12 years, I think the adrenaline luckily worn off, and I stopped making promises to people based on my wild dreams. But I lost my why in that 12 years. Kind of my ambition and everything, as out of control as it was ambition, and it was why I was opening the salon doors. And I think it is incredibly hard. It is a challenge to run a business now, a salon business. It's a very sophisticated industry. And in the 12 years I've run a salon, I know how much has changed and the pressures that come from being a salon owner. And I lost my why. And I think in the first lockdown, I was able to really sort of reconnect in that downtime that we had with, why am I here?
Mm.
Why am my team there?
Mm-hmm.
And what are we trying to do here?
Mm.
And when we come back, I would say that it was felt for many, including myself, all the members that we speak to, we sort of landed back at the salon and it was crazy busy, very busy.
After that first lockdown.
Yeah. And still struggled to establish my why in after that first lockdown. And with the inconsistencies that we've been having with trade, you know, the November lockdown, this lockdown, again, I think we're still struggling to really get our whys, you know, and to confront that and to earn our why. And I think that actually knowing why you're running the business, knowing why you decided to do it, you really need to establish that, I think, personally.
Mm. I mean, when you say why, and I mean, I know you were sort of an ambitious young guy and you sort of, why I want to get a, you know, sort of Porsche and all that. But why is it for most people, you know, the why is like, I mean, the people that you talk to, they want to be, I know a lot of people are desperate to run their own businesses. They want to be in control of their own destiny. I mean, when you say the whys, I mean, what tell us a little bit about the people you encounter. What drives people? Because you say now it's really tough.
Yeah,
Quite
absolutely.
a lonely place to be as a salon owner. So why do it? Why not just carry on, you know, working for somebody else?
Yeah. So I guess two different members that we have come to us at Mysalonmanager. We'll get those young, ambitious, you know, fueled with adrenaline hairdressers that are about to launch their salon and they want advice.
Well, that's when
Sophia
came to you, didn't she? Do you remember? I mean, Sophia came to you when she just, even before she launched Not Another Salon. She's a great example of that.
I think really quite closely with Simon in the beginning stages of her business. Yeah, she did. So I think two types of salon: young Sophia, adrenaline, you know, really excited to get going, and then I guess salon owners that were a little bit like me, and after the last lockdown, kind of thinking, "Hang on a minute, I've lost my way a little bit." And I think one of the most valuable things that we try to do for our members is to re-establish and reconnect them with their why they're there, why they're doing it, and to make sure that they're sharing those goals and dreams with their stylists. So that the stylists can understand why they're there.
They buy into it as well. I guess it's a very good point you make, because if you get the why, you get your mojo back, don't you? You just want to go for it. You get your mojo back. You understand? Okay, that's really, 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 really good points. Tell me a little bit about. Well, actually, we talked about that. I was looking at point number 1. Re-establish your reasons and goals for setting up your salon. Have they changed? I mean, I come back to the point, and I'd like you to answer it this time. No, I'd like you to say, I mean, what are people's goals when they want to do it? I mean, you've come across a lot of people, not just your own. Why be your own salon owner? Obviously, for many people, they really want to work for themselves. Or what other reasons drives people to take on that task?
There are so many reasons. My reason was that I was, one boss excluded, I was fed up of talking to a brick wall. I had all these ideas burning away in my head. And conversations that I would have to kind of stimulate growth in businesses that I worked for. And it would be like talking to a brick wall, you know. And I think for some of us, we're creative. Some of us are hairdressing salon owners. We're hairdressers. We're very busy. We set up a salon because we believe that will give us a greater profit as a hairdressing salon owner. But some are just business owners, you know, like we believe the two types of salon owner. There's a hairdresser and then there's the business owner, and they are very different. And the hairdresser will struggle sometimes to just really grab hold of the business and understand it naturally, because you're not born a salon owner. You're not born a business owner. It's something that you learn.
And creatives sometimes struggle with that kind of thing, you know. So I can see that.
I think salon owners, hairdressers want to be creative. They want a chance to explore everything they want to do as a salon, you know. And then business owners, they want that Porsche. They want that, you know, they want a business. They want 5 salons in X amount of years and whatever comes after that. I I think our goals are all very different depending on what we want, which is why I think it's so important to establish what's your why,
Yeah.
because everybody's different. We're not all the same.
If you establish your why again and you stick to it, as I say, it drives you forward. It gives you renewed vigor, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about that. I think a lot of your second point that we're going to talk about, and as I say, anybody want to ask Raymond about this, because it's something that I know comes up a lot because I've worked with you guys at My Salon Manager, and focus on pricing.
Yeah.
I think when you make a good point here, I'll let you make that, but I know, having worked with salon people for 20, 25 years, people are always very nervous about hiking prices, changing price. One of the things that your members talk to you about all the time, that fear factor. So during lockdown, you say, take a good look at how you price. What do you mean by that?
So the foundation of this thought is, I know there's been a lot of talk in the industry about increasing your prices. Otherwise, I've even heard one say, you won't be open in 12 months time if you don't do that. We're all in a very different position. And again, we're not all the same. But I think when it comes to pricing, I personally think that you shouldn't be looking at the competition. You should be focusing on what's happening in your business. Right. How do you know the salon up the road is generating a profit, for example? If you base your prices on the competition and they're not making money, what's going to happen to you? You don't know the formula of their business and if it's working for them. So you really have to look at your salon, what you offer, who's in your team, and pricing should be done strategically based on your why and what you're looking to offer as a salon. I think the importance now to look at your pricing is greater than ever. I think our last minimum wage increase or living wage increase, April 2020, was one of the biggest increases. But this year we also have a change in the age of minimum wage, living wage. So it was 25 plus at the highest rate. It's now 23 plus. So some of your stylists, if you're going back and they're 24, they're going to get a substantial basic salary increase.
Right.
And I'm going to throw a concept out here really, really lightly, and there could be questions from this, but what we see the most often is that salons will have a commission structure based on and pricing based on what their last salon did. Like they'll say, my boss used to do this, so this is the right way.
Yeah.
Is it? Or they do what the accountants told them, and they'll do 3 times the basic salary. And there's a very simple thing that we like to establish at My Salon Manager. What does the price of your haircut have to do with the hourly minimum living wage of the stylist that works for you? What does the price you charge have to do with the basic hourly rate for the stylist? It's nothing. So if you create a pricing and a target structure based on the basic wage, it doesn't mean anything. It's and that's one of the things that we look at it from a formulaic approach, and we make sure that the prices you charge, the hours the stylists work, they have targets that reflect what they're charging, not the basic salary.
So what about places that there has been a lot of, I mean, you must be aware of this. I see a lot of salons now who are going gender neutral, which is, to be admired if that's what you want to do and you think that's right for your business. I mean, that affects pricing as well, doesn't it? I mean, how have you encountered that with any of your members? It's this thing about you charge for the time, isn't it? Not necessarily for... And why should ladies' hair be so much more expensive than men's hair? And as I say, we're living in an age where gender issues are constantly to the fore. In hairdressing, I think we're very proud as an industry that we embrace that kind of approach. So what's your view on that when it comes to pricing, charging for the time?
There is a challenge for some salons, and that challenge comes from their own beliefs. You spoke before about people looking at the competition or scared to put their prices up because of what the other salons do. We find that some of our members will be charging, for example, £45 for a haircut and blow dry for 45 minutes work, but then they'll be charging for a men's haircut £15. Because the barbershop 3 doors down is charging £15. And my best advice when that comes is, you're not a barbershop and you can't compete with that barbershop. So you should have an hourly rate your price for your men's haircut should bear resemblance to the women's, if not be exactly the same as you suggest to your women's
Yeah,
pricing.
I think that's true. And you're not going to look like that barbershop opposite, are you? If you're operating
No,
that kind of salon, you're in a
no.
you can't compare your stuff. It's almost like a different industry. So, you know, you can't, it's this, I
Yes,
think people are very, as you say, that's one thing that we need to, and an anxiety that's been brought on with the lockdowns. I think you know, you've got time on your hands, you're anxious, you tend to look at what others are doing, you're trawling around through people's Instagram pages. And more than ever, you might be tempted to think, am I doing it right? Because we're questioning ourselves. But this is the time, as you say, to stay strong, connect with your why, and have some self-belief and stick to your guns.
I agree. And I think kind of focusing on the pricing, you know, I mentioned about, you know, the minimum wage, but I'm aware of a lot of salons going back with a lump of debt that they never had. And I don't want to get into the intricacies of what that might look like for some. But the overall thing is that if you've now borrowed some money off of the government or from the government, your wages have gone up. When we go back in April, whenever we go back, you have to be making more money than you were the 12 months before.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're going to aim for, say, 30% new clientele or a high level of new clientele, that's going to be very challenging to stimulate. So that's why we do have to look at the pricing, because your business has to be more profitable when we go back
Than it was before.
than it was before. And I'm not saying otherwise the world's going to end and your salon will close. I don't like that. I mean, it's a very real way of looking at it. But you'll only realize about 12, 18 months later that you haven't connected with your why. As a salon owner, I want to make money. And this year I haven't, because I didn't act back in April 2021. And that's why we think it's so important to look at your figures. Your business might not close, and I sincerely hope it wouldn't, but you won't do as well as you wanted to do if you don't, you know, constructively look at your business, objectively look at it, strip out the emotions where you can. Think about your customer. Don't overcharge them. Be consumer focused, but, you know, do things for the reason. And as I said, you are going back with I know I am going back with a slight sort of weight on my shoulders in terms of borrowed money and stuff. So my prices will go up. They have to.
They have to. I mean, you mentioned about current issues well, we've talked about this increase. What about the VAT reduction support from the industry? I mean, there's a big campaign. I think people cut the VAT, chop the VAT, isn't there at the moment? In fact, there's a lot of campaigns across socials, Save Our Salons and Chop the VAT. This is a call to sort of decrease the VAT. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, firstly, I am in support of it.
Yes.
I think it is well needed, but essentially they're looking at reducing the VAT rate down from 20 to 5%.
5%. I thought that was it. Yeah.
And we did a survey with our members, and we said, right, you know, you charge a net amount of your haircut. So you say, for example, you say my haircut is £20, your haircut. You charge 20% VAT. So you're now going to charge £24 roughly. Yeah. Well, that £4 of that goes straight to the government.
Yeah.
So now, if the government say, right, we're going to reduce the VAT down to 5%, well, you're still charging £20. You're just adding £5 on net. So the government's £4 is no longer £4. You know, so I said to the members, are you going to give your clients a representation of that reduction in VAT? So you're going to take that £4 off.
Yeah.
Or are you going to take that as the business?
Yeah.
And most of them said, we're going to take it for the business, except one.
Oh.
And they said, well, no, because our customers are very aware that we'll get that reduction in VAT, like we were with restaurants, hospitality and coffee shops. And I have to say, I went into Costa Coffee and it was literally blasted everywhere. They wanted me to know they were passing the saving on to me. It was marketed incredibly well. When you put that question, members' mindset started to change. That, hang on a minute, if we give this VAT reduction, you know, what if the salon, we're so worried about what the salon's doing next door with their pricing. What if that salon next door now says, well, we're going to give that saving to our customer, and you're the salon that didn't. Yeah, like, so it is very good. And I guess a lot of the industry will continue to charge prices based on the 20%, which I am in full support for. We need this help, and we've had a lack of it.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be a consumer, you do have to think about your customer in some instances,
So
and
you're saying there
being
has to be
consumer
some
friendly.
benefit to the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my suggestions was maybe meet halfway, come up
Halfway.
with a different
Yeah.
strategy, because clients are going to be aware of that
Yeah.
discount.
Oh God, they are. I mean, that campaign is not just, you know, well known within hair. I mean, this is
Mm.
good. It's really taken off. So you're right. Okay. Now, what about tip number 3? During lockdown, reduce your costs. Yeah, now that's a good one. You know, you've got the time, I guess. You've got the you know, the time to research that, really look and take a hard, close look at your business. Is that what you're getting at? Really analyze where you can save money.
Look at how your business is performing. You know,
Hmm.
get your accounts done. As I said, there's a huge thing that some salons or some business owners take salons out of the equation will only know how their business has performed at their financial year end once the
Right.
accountant's given
Yeah.
them this balance sheet and said
Yeah.
these are your percentages. So that's
Yeah.
sometimes an 18-month delay
Mm.
between what's happening now and
And
finding
then,
out.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think you really do need to spend some time bringing your accounts up to date right now and looking at the percentages that your business is operating at. For example, you know, is your wage percentage healthy versus turnover? If you've got a wage percentage of say 70% versus turnover, we have an issue, and that issue could be pricing, for example. So that the benefit of sitting down and looking at your accounts and understanding the numbers is incredibly valuable to objectively looking at things that we've just spoken about, your
Yeah.
pricing, your
Yeah.
team, your why. You
Yeah.
know,
It
it's
all relates back. Yeah.
we believe, my salon manager believe, that the foundation to a successful salon business is the numbers and understanding those numbers.
Mm. Again, I think a lot of people are fearful of numbers. You know, as you say, creatives, hairdressers. I mean, it's not for some people. You identified those two types of salon owners, but it can be very fearful to look at your books and do the exercises that
100%.
you spoke of. But it's just something that you've got to force yourself to do, I guess, and just bite the bullet, because in the long term, keeping on top of it is better than, as you say, waiting for that 18-month end.
I agree. Yeah, I think I wasn't born great at numbers. In
Mm.
fact, I was absolutely terrible.
Mm.
But unfortunately, the reality of owning a salon in 12 years, you have to understand your numbers, because otherwise you get that uh-oh moment at the year-end accounts if you don't really get to grips with what's happening with your business. As I
Mhm.
said, I wasn't born good with numbers, far from it, but you learn, and you sort of got to discipline yourself to
Is there?
focus on those parts of your business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as moving more as a salon owner now, and a long-term salon owner, are there? Oh, we've got a question here. I'll have a look at that.
Go
What
on.
would you say is that, you know, how can you reduce costs? What are the key areas that you found coaching people and running your own business? You know, where can people look to kind of, really critical now, make some savings?
So you've got the fixed costs. You know, well, one thing specific to right now we've been doing for our members. We created a template letter.
Right.
Going to your landlord, reduce your rent because you're not open, and we've actually managed to save some of our members thousands and
Good.
thousands of pounds. So
That's
that's just
great
one
news.
thing right now. Write to your
Yeah.
landlord, communicate with them, and if you've got a great relationship
Yeah.
with them, I think they would oblige
That's
and
a
maybe
good tip.
help your business along. Whether
Yeah.
that's you know, like them just saying don't pay us £6,000 or half the
Yeah.
rent, 50% off, or giving you a rental holiday where you can split that
Yeah.
across 2 years, maybe. Just a suggestion. But in terms of the long term, looking at every part of your business, as I said, looking at the P&L,
Yeah.
the figures. You know, if you're paying your accountant, if you're making 10 grand and you're paying your accountant £2,000, something's hugely out of balance, for example.
Mhm.
Now I'm just putting that very simply, but you need to look at all your costs. Are you getting the value for the thing? You know, you getting the value for the things you're spending. If your accountant is charging you what you would deem a lot of money, but you're not getting a service, you haven't got management accounts, there isn't a two-way communication, then I would seriously evaluate, you know, the cost, and even can I afford to spend more to get more control over my business, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your energy costs, have you fallen out of contract? Are you now paying a
Yes.
tiered rate? Look into that.
Yeah.
Credit card machines, they can be very expensive without review. All these things associated to your
Yeah.
business.
That's what I mean. I was looking for some examples and the kind of booking systems you're using. I know your members are always asking for advice on what is the best value for the sort of booking systems now. I mean, this is the time to research it, isn't it? And see who's offering the best deal out there.
Yeah, I mean, with the booking systems, I'm going to not mention any names as much as I'm sure Simon would want me to.
Yeah.
I believe you should do what's right for your business.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, you know, you're in marketing in this industry as well. You're a specialist. How many of these sort of booking systems have cropped up in the last 12 to 18 months that are really not that great and fail to provide the business owner with the performance statistics, like, you know, the things we can focus on, like rebooking and things like that. So I would say, don't always go cheap and cheerful, similar to what I was saying with the accountant. Make sure you're getting a service for the money you're spending. And if it costs that little bit more to get closer to your why,
then do it. It's value for money, isn't it? It's what you're getting. I'm glad we touched on things like that, because it's like, as you say, energy providers, everything, you know, PR, everything. There's more and more people in the market offering things for hairdressers, specifically coaching, you know, and you have to do the research. And as you say, you have to find the people that engage with you and that are right for you. Dawn Pitts, thank you, Dawn. It's always nice to have a question. Dawn says, Raymond, what percentage do you think is healthy for wages to turn over? If that makes sense.
You want to be aiming for 50%. If you can get it to 45%, fantastic. If you're at 55% of your turnover, then you're edging up, you know, you need to have a serious review of your prices.
Right.
And I would, as a salon owner, if you're a hairdresser on the shop floor, factor your wages into your salaries.
Right.
Because you could be flattering yourself with the profit of your business. You know, if your business makes a 20 grand profit and you take 20 grand out, what has your business actually profited? Your business is a separate entity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dawn. Please, as I say,
great question.
It is a good question. And all questions are welcome. And as we go through, we'll stop and answer those, you know, at the right time. So thanks for that, Dawn. Now I'm going to take you through to tip number 4 during lockdown. It's called preparing for success, which is a great thing to do. So we're being positive right away. We're saying success, you know, what plan for success? What does it look like? Look at, you say, your last year's key performance indicators. Where can I do better? I think that's a bit like a kind of, you know, health check, isn't it? From what you sort of said there, a business health check. Tell me a little bit about how our listeners can benefit from that.
So I'm trying to sort of think in my head how to put this in do you ever have that where your brain just sort of freezes and you think, wow, I could give a really in-depth answer here, but I'll probably send everybody to sleep.
You're not sending anyone to sleep at the moment. I notice we sometimes have people drop out of these, and I can tell you, Raymond, there's been no dropouts. So you're providing an entertaining and informative experience. So rest assured.
Thank you, everybody, for sort of staying to the meeting and having a listen to what I have to share. I think preparing for success.
Yeah.
I guess I love telling things in an example.
Yeah.
Instagram has become some businesses' only route of marketing. They just do Instagram. They do a post and that's it. There's no emails. There's no in-salon promotions.
Right.
People don't know why. It's just Instagram. Now, what I like
guess
to do
it's cheaper, you know, because a lot of the things that people used to do to promote their business cost in some way, even if it was the printed matter. With Instagram, you haven't got a cost.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because you know as well as I do that actually Facebook's algorithm, the company that own Instagram, they sort of limit, if you're registered as a business account, they limit how much that can be seen anyway. So to get it out there effectively and get engagement, you're going to have to spend money anyway, unless you have, you know, this huge wealth of followers that kind of top that algorithm up and you get a lot of natural interaction. But to get to that point is incredibly challenging for most, maybe 80% of businesses, you know, to have 200,000 followers.
Yeah.
And then you condense that down to who's actually going to come to my salon and spend money. That's the reality of that. Anyway, coming back to your question. Yeah. So again, it kind of it sounds very boring, but it's all linked to that why, that first step. And I think when for example, my duty will be, or my thing that I'll be doing is, before I go back, looking at last year's KPIs, what was my rebooking percentage? What was my retention percentage? What was my color percentage? What was my wage percentage? Getting all of that stuff that to the hairdressing salon owner could be boring or very difficult to interpret, and formulating a plan, preparing for success. You know, my color business, for example, we love our salon. We're a color salon. So we want to be at least 50% color. 50% of the people coming into our business have hair color.
Yeah.
Now,
you've worked very hard to get that, haven't you? Which is a very good point.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
It takes a long time, but it's just to throw it out there to people. It's been very advantageous for you, that, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but what if I'm at 35%? So I look back on last year and I'm at 35%. But I haven't, so I got to do things that stimulate a higher percentage, haven't I? So I take that 35%. I know that I want 50%. I should know why at this point, because I want to be riding around in a Porsche, I think you said.
Yeah. But you said a roller and I said a Porsche, because I thought you're a bit old, a bit young for a roller. Yeah.
Let's say my goal is that I want to become a Weller key account, for example. I want to be spending, I want to be 30 grand spend. I want my team to get training. I want color experts.
Yeah.
But I'm at 20% color business.
Yeah.
Are those things going to happen? No. What have I got to do in order to get there? So we need to plan marketing strategies. We need to become the salon. We need to revamp our website. We need to focus on color on Instagram, and we need to train our team in color. They need to be experts, and we need our team to shout that they're color experts, basically, those that are in the team anyway. So I think, as I said, it's about preparing for success, not just blindly going into the year, doing that post on Instagram and hoping that it's going to stimulate the percentages that you need for your business to be successful, and for you as the salon owner to get what you want and meet your why.
I think what you've said with the colour there is a great thing. There has to be some substance behind your claims. This is what you're saying. You can't go out shouting that you're a colour expert, or that you're an expert in this particular type of maybe, or you can't say, I relate back to this because it's very popular with our salons, you can't say you're a true eco salon if you haven't got, and often invested in, the key things that actually show you are. I mean, you have to put your money where your mouth is and back that up, because people will see through it. People will ask the questions, well, what makes your colour salon? What colour expert? You've got to say, I've got 5 girls trained, I've got this, I've got that. Couple of questions for you, Ray. Lisa, thank you, Lisa. Is there an average end of year NP for the industry? And what would you say is the high percentage to aim for?
I'm assuming NP means net profit. I'm going to make that assumption.
Yeah, we have, because Lisa's put, I'm sure if we're wrong, I'm sure it is though, but I've just read it as Lisa put it. Assume that, and I'm sure Lisa, we've got this wrong, yeah?
Lisa, I told you I'm not great at maths, but I do know that percentage. I'm messing around. I think we need to be aiming, I think 15% is healthy, it's good, but 20% would be where I would aim for as a salon owner. I have heard recently of claims of from 80% net profit.
Gosh. Which
I struggle as a salon owner.
Yeah.
Just a salon owner, not a coach.
No.
To understand how that happens. And just an example, I think 15 to 20% is healthy. If you can stimulate more than that, then fantastic. But it will depend on the shape of your business. For example, if you're, 5-10 salons, you're going to have a lot of outgoings. You're going to have a lot of turnover, a lot of staff, and your net profit as a percentage might be less.
Yeah.
But you make a higher profit than most, like because you've got 5 or 10 salons. But if you've got, I don't know, it's you and someone else, you've got no staff costs. You're lucky enough to have next to really affordable rent. You're probably going to have a higher net profit because you haven't got one of the biggest outlays, which is staff. Basically, 50% of your turnover can typically be staff wages.
Right.
So again, I'm sending the hairdressers amongst you to sleep. So please feel free to put questions not about specifics in money,
Well,
because
no, but you say that, but that's what people want to know. I think this is the key
no,
thing.
absolutely.
I've got another question there, and I think because of your knowledge in this, and it's great. Yeah, Lisa says yes, net profit, and thank you. Well, thank you, Lisa, because it was a good question.
Thanks, Lisa. I
And Ray's
appreciate
got
it.
another a percentage question. What
Good.
percentage, someone asks, of clients rebooking? That's interesting. Do you think is good? And then I've got an added bit to that question as well. But if you can address that first, and then I'll sort of come in with the second point that this person makes. So, what percentage of clients rebooking do you think is a good sort of percentage?
Firstly, I was just saying about sending people to sleep with numbers and percentages. Those creative hairdressers, if you start going, right, your rebookings are currently at 63%. I need you to get 4 more clients to rebook this week, and I need it to be at 84.2%. The hairdresser's just going to sit there and be like, huh? So
yeah.
I like to say to my team, we have weekly reviews. We talk about your performance. If you're building your column up in your salon, I'm not just I'm not going to hire you and just kind of leave you there to get on with it. We connect on your performance. We connect on the goals of the business every week.
Right.
And their goals, obviously.
Yeah.
Instead of communicating percentages, I prefer to talk in numbers, and I would say, right, you've got 10 clients today, or you've got 8 clients today. I need 6 of them to rebook. Yeah. So as a percentage, as a salon owner, I would be aiming for 75% rebooking, but I wouldn't tell my team that.
No, because it's not so easy for them to understand that terminology.
Yeah, I think they understand. I just want to communicate at their level. I want to communicate the why as a human. If I sort of say, you've got 25 clients this week, I'd like 20 to rebook, or we need 20 to rebook.
Yeah. So you're saying 75%, which is interesting. But that begs the secondary part of this question. And I think this is a tricky one, but interesting. How productive should stylists be to not be overworked? I think what we're meaning there is that you want your stylist to be incredibly productive for you, for them, for the business. But, there is, in this industry, it's stressful. Where's that fine line between productive and overworked? I mean,
rewind a little bit. I spoke earlier about the prices and the targets. The prices you charge and the basic salary having nothing to do with it, each other. There is no connection. When you create a really good target structure, you set a percentage of utilization, i.e. stylist busy time.
Yeah.
Based on the prices they're charging. That is the justification. At my salon, you should be 75% busy.
Right.
Okay. Now we do see stylists tend to hit 80, 85, but you have to have a reasonable amount for them to be busy. And I don't like, similar to, I think, what's being hinted at, I don't like 100% busy stylist. We saw that after the first lockdown, and even myself, I just collapsed in a heap at the end of the day. And we saw Instagram full of hairdressers with hair dryers on their hands, laying on the floor. The serious thing to take from that is actually well-being and health. And it is no good for anyone to be busy 40 hours of the 40 hours they work. No. So put simply, if you have a 40-hour week, your prices and your strategy should be based on the stylist being busy 30 hours of the week. Because we have cancellations, we have downtime. And not all of us can be busy all the time. We just collapse.
No, I think, and there's a follow-up to that where this person is sort of saying that she thinks or he thinks that my stylists are too busy. And there's a danger in that. I mean, you want to get the money in the till, but, very good point. And I think I'd like to make the point that we're going back, hopefully, as you mentioned, April, after a very, very difficult period. So, bear in mind that your team might not be feeling 100% or their best because they've undergone a very difficult period of time. And that's something you don't want to then sort of be having them on the salon floor 24/7. You're going to just have a problem on your hands, aren't you?
Could I, sorry, who was it who asked that question? What was the name? I can't see all the questions.
No, this one was an anonymous attendee.
Oh, so anonymous.
Yeah, an anonymous attendee. So that's why. Just fill in on that. Yeah.
Could you just go back over their point? They said to follow up on it. Would you mind? Because there was
Yeah,
something
of
really
course not.
valuable there.
And somebody's just posted something in the chat which looked great. So hang on, Ray. I'll just have a quick chat. Oh yeah, that's a great great question that we've got from Neil.
Sorry, I've just remembered what it was.
Oh yeah.
So they said they're 100% busy and they want more money in the till.
No, I said that to be fair.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I
Okay,
mentioned that.
sorry.
So our person said, what percentage of clients rebooking? And you said about 75, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is
and
it
just
ideal?
put a reason on that for
Yeah.
anyone that
Yeah.
hasn't heard of the rebooking percentage being so high.
Yeah.
Rebook clients visit more often.
Right.
They come more times in the year. Your hairdresser at the end of an appointment should be telling the client, or actually at the beginning in the consultation, I need to see you in 6 weeks' time in order to maintain this fabulous do that I've done for you.
I was going to ask you that.
That client comes back in 8 weeks rather than calling you on 8 weeks, not being able to get an appointment and coming in 10.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. So you look forward in the diary.
Yeah. No, but the rebooking thing, it's very much down to how you train your staff. I mean, it's not just rebooking isn't going to happen as a miracle. You've just said that kind of suggestion, you can't be too hard hitting, but that suggestion that they come in should be actually at the first consultation, not when they finish the do.
Yes, absolutely. The consultation, the final tussle of the hair, the one place it should never be is at the desk. Are you all right for appointments? Well, I think so. You tell me, so it's your why. It all comes back to your why. It's not just the consultation.
Because it still is traditionally at the reception. How are you? Yeah, no. Great question here. We've got a bit off track, but that's cool because we really welcome your questions. Now, in the chat, Neil has put, he's interested for everybody, what are your thoughts with the industry moving towards self-employed models rather than employed? It's something that you get asked a lot. I know we get asked a lot. It's a big thing in the industry. I mean, Neil says, is this going to increase further? I think, yes, it is personally. I think for lots of reasons, my thoughts, and thank you for asking me, Neil, my thoughts are that the way we live and the way we work today, the freedom that gives you, particularly working mothers and so on, and, the flexibility to do other things, and maybe you might have to derive an income from other places. It gives you that option to structure your life in the way that you want to, maybe. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Ray?
I think whether it'll grow, I can't speculate. And but I think I, as you can probably tell at this point, I love to look at the facts and what's happening now.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening now is there is an evolution in self-employment, i.e. some salon owners are really getting to grips with what true self-employment is and understanding the mechanics of how that should work legally in order to do it right. If you if someone is self-employed in your salon, they should be able to go and come as they please. Substitute you with something. So I rent a chair in your salon, Claire. If I want my friend Simon to come in and work for me instead, then you have to let that happen. I can come and go as I please. I have to adhere to some standards, but some people, that's done right. If you really kind of understand self-employment, you can make it work in your business, truly.
Right. Okay.
But I think the challenge comes when, or the wrong way is to make your team self-employed, to save on costs, to try and make your business more profitable, to meet your personal why. But they're not realizing that process but you're still managing your team. You're telling them when to come, what to wear, that they can't substitute someone else. You call the clients your clientele. Are you self-employed or are you a disguised employee? And that's the thing of it. I think if you are going to do it right. Don't do it wrong, because there are laws. Again, I'm not going to bore everyone. There are laws in the background that are coming in to stop that from happening. IR35, check it out. We've actually got a video on YouTube. Google Mysalonmanager. What does IR35 mean for salons?
I mean, that's right that this is happening to protect those people. I mean, that's a good thing. But I personally think there's been an increase. But the good thing is, as you say, again, not to be fearful of it, to do it right, to make sure you've got the right structures in place. It goes back to everything you've said, really. I mean, it's about planning and preparation.
Yes.
and which is just hard work. Well, that's a thank you for that, Neil. A good talking point. And if anybody else wants to have a talking point. Now, interestingly, we've come around, we've got about 15 minutes left, so that's cool. Salon's reopening. Now, we said we think maybe April, we don't know. We just don't know. What should we do, Raymond? What
Charge double the price, half the work.
No, what should we, and you make a really good point here, and it's something that I'm very keen to stress, and that's why I mentioned this at the beginning, and I keep coming back to it, because at Good Salon Guide, we're actually running mental health training courses at the moment, which I know you know about and have promoted for us. And it's about, before you even think of the client, surely you've got to think about your staff, the well-being of your staff before we have this big surge back. What should you be doing to prepare before the salon reopens?
First lockdown, coming back from that.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks felt like I was that new salon owner again, filled with adrenaline and everything.
Yeah.
I'm seeing client numbers coming in. I'm seeing a higher level of complaints. So our percentage for complaints is 2%. I can handle 2%. The minute I'm touching 4 or 5%, I'm concerned. But what does it mean? So I think we came out of the last lockdown and there was a huge pressure on everyone to perform.
Yeah.
Salons were extending opening hours. Salons were having to change the shape of their business because they can't accommodate the same amount of clients or staff at one time in the salon in 1 hour. And I think I kind of looked at my salon and I was like, what is going on right now? This isn't my business. I'm not performance talking to my team. Clients are just literally, it was like a factory. And that's not what my business is about. We did the same thing after the November lockdown. We fell into that trap. We've got to see as many clients as we can. We've got 3.5 weeks to see as many clients as we can before Christmas. Well, that got cut short in Essex anyway. So we were closed on, I think, the 19th of December, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Now, in this lockdown, looking at all that, the out of control, the higher number of complaints. Before this, my business didn't have any of these issues. We had complaints. Any salon must have complaints. We all have points that we need to correct. But I think my biggest lesson, and what I'm trying to advocate to our salons that are members, is that staff wellbeing, as you say, is incredibly important. And how it's the oldest thing in the book. A happy worker is a busy worker. And if your team is stressed, they're doing more hours, they're exhausted. Those things, the complaints levels, the anxiety, the morale in the salon is all going to suffer. And I think factually, the best thing you can do when you send out your risk assessments to your team, when you bring them back to work and you take them off a furlough, is to factor in staff wellbeing into your risk assessment.
Right.
Because I genuinely think that this has been quite stressful for everybody, especially going back.
Yeah.
And we can see that in the amount of movement in the industry in terms of stylists chopping and changing where they work. They haven't agreed with what you did. They can't handle the stress that's being applied by some salon owners.
Yeah.
I've never had so many CVs land on my desk, and unfortunately I couldn't take them all on, which is, is a great problem to have. But coming back to it, your team is very important, and how you treat your team, they will reciprocate that in how they treat your clientele as a business. And I think putting on that risk assessment, staff wellbeing, my approach is to go back as we were before all of this. I'm not going to try and get lots of clients through the door in 1 week. I appreciate some people might need to do that to survive and to help their business work. But look at the long-term effect on that. And the short-term, salons that accommodated clients by doing express appointments because they wanted the numbers game. They needed to accommodate 50% more clients a week. And some salons restricted the appointments that clients could have. So you can't have a full balayage. You can only have an express, like a face frame. What did that mean? They burnt through their clientele in 2 or 3 weeks. They spent the next 3 or 4 weeks twiddling their thumbs, wondering where the clientele is. So pace it is my advice. Pace your team, pace yourself. And that first day back, in my opinion, should be a reintegration to your team, not just dumping them back in the salon and saying, right, get to it. It's kind of like when you start a job and you get an employer who just plonks you at your desk and says,
doesn't explain
crack
it.
on. Induct them, kickstart them, share your why that you've re-established, and they
Yeah.
will love you for it. And they will perform better in the long run. They'll sell more retail, they'll rebook more clients.
I think what you're saying then is maybe be a little bit more patient, because again, like we've said, if you spend a little bit more, sometimes it can be an advantageous thing. Pace yourself, go easy, and you'll get a better result in the long term, rather than the temptation is to steam in, book in, and get some money, you know, but that's a little bit of a lack of foresight there. So that's a good tip. So a question. Oh, Dawn, we love you. Dawn says, the session is great. I wish it could go on for another hour.
Well,
So you're not boring anybody. Well, we'll stay as long as we've got questions. Anonymous question, a KPI, a key performance indicator for the industry, would be great to use as a guide tool. Is there such a thing you're aware of for both the salon and stylist, e.g., rebookings, utilization, color percentage of client base? Does that make sense?
yeah. I mean, so our members, you join My Salon Manager, and look, it's not a shameless plug. There is zero pressure on anyone listening to this to join My Salon Manager.
No.
But we share this. We have 80, I think something like 80 videos full of how to become a salon owner.
Yeah.
How to come away from being that hairdresser. To just quickly give you some figures, because I don't want to, you know, just do a plug and say crack on with that. 75% rebooking, 75-80% utilization would be the figures that I'm looking at. 50% color for a salon that is focused out on color. What else? New client business. So new clientele, get your pen and paper, question asker.
Yeah.
What was their name? I don't want to label them question asker.
No, sometimes it's another anonymous attendee.
Oh, okay. So it's not horrible to say that. Sorry, I wanted to be sincere.
I know you did. So question asker, yeah.
So new clients is probably one of the most interesting ones. So if you've got, if you're busy, if you as a stylist or a salon are at 10%, you stand still, because you lose clients for reason outside of your control. They fancy a change, they move out of the area, whatever. It just, you know, it's not something you should take personally. 15% you will see a growth in your business. 20% you will see a great growth. Okay. Right. Now that is shared, those statistics are shared with the stylist, because if the stylist is doing 2%, what's your salon going to be doing? It's going to affect the overall rate. So everybody needs to aim for certain KPIs. If you're a member of My Salon Manager, it's all explained to you. It's broken down into steps. What I would say is, if you go in and you start saying to your team, I need you to do 75% rebooking, I need you to do it, they're just going to look at you blindly and think, why? Why? We're going back to why. Everything comes back to why. What's that going to do for me? How is that going to improve my salary? How is that going to buy that new car that I want? How is that going to get me the things in life that I want for coming to this business and working exceptionally hard and producing fantastic hair?
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's all good knowing the numbers. But what do you do with them? How do you stimulate growth?
How do you sell the numbers to your staff? You know, how do you motivate them and get them on board? Because, you know, all the numbers in the world, it comes down to a combination of having your figures right, but having your people skills there. And I mean, that's what I said to you at the beginning of this meeting. You know, I think people skills and relating to people, that's something that you bring amazingly. And I know, you know, in the engagement we have with the members and so on, but I mean, you obviously translate that into your staff and how you relate to them, and you have to have that good relationship with staff. You can have the greatest visions in the world, but if you can't make people buy into them, they're pointless, you know. So so we've I mean, you were saying here as well, this is exactly what we mentioned. The things that you as a salon owner or maybe a salon manager have done during lockdown, the sort of health checks, the looking at the business, the going back to the whys, you make the very good point here. Share those fab findings with your team. You know, don't keep them to yourself. This is what we're talking about, motivating them. You know, say to them, look, this is what I've been doing. This is one of the things you recommend. Let them in on it, and they'll respond and appreciate it, won't they?
I think more than that, they'll understand why they come to work. You know, if you understand the goals and the vision of the business, you perform better towards that goal. I think some salon owners that I speak to are concerned to share their goals. They don't want to be seen as greedy or, you know, all I'm about is money, because they're creative, you know, and there's more reasons than one why we create a salon.
Totally.
Typically.
I think
Like
we
I
should
said, mine
stress
was
that. I mean,
ideas.
I was just a bit worried about that. I mean, it's not all about making money. It's because, I mean, we have sort of focused on that. I mean, you know, a lot of people are doing this. I mean, look at the fantastic things as hairdressers we do. When we look at the, you know, the testimonials, we can transform people's lives with the work that we do. And, you know, the ability to create some great new looks can lift spirits. And
Definitely.
it's a brilliant thing we do, apart from obviously wanting to run successful, profitable businesses. There is that, you know, which I was quite keen to stress.
And I, as a salon owner, I'm not afraid to say that was a bad move, or this performance is really affecting the business and our why and our goals.
Yeah.
I need this to change. Here's what I recommend to do. Do you need some support?
Yeah. So be honest with them.
Yeah.
And say, because we've all made mistakes in running our businesses.
Versus adrenaline fueled Raymond, I mentioned 12 years ago, where I made so many promises, didn't communicate performance. And when I did, I sort of sat there with a sheet and said, yeah, it all looks really good. And I'm looking at it thinking, it's really crap, but I don't want to upset them. But they'll appreciate your honesty when they're developing, making more money for it. And their job satisfaction is through the roof, because they got clients kicking the doors down trying to get on the seat.
I think that's another point. You use those two words, job satisfaction.
Yes.
You know, that's going to be more important than ever when we return after having had a very rough period. If you can derive some satisfaction and some feel-good factor from your job, I think we've got to really work on that, because that can help people feel a lot better about themselves.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, any more questions from anybody? This is your last call for questions.
We've had one from Fiona.
Okay. Yes, have we? I haven't seen that.
How do you motivate the team? Do you have a baseline that they need to meet? Yes. Motivating a team is, I think Claire had hinted at, you know, one part of my salon business, and actually my salon manager. You know, you start at 0 and you need to get to 100 as quickly as you can and as effectively as you can. But the motivating the team, if you've joined, it's based on the why. You know, like my team know what my goal is, and I know what theirs are. And I try and align the goals of the business with what they want to do, and the things as a team that they need and want to achieve. And as individuals, like, for example, I adrenaline fueled Raymond, salon owner, 22 years old, believed that everybody wanted to be on the front cover of HJ and wanted to win L'Oreal Colour Trophy. How wrong was I? Incredibly wrong. Some hairdressers just want to come to work, enjoy it, and go home. Some want to be creative and do crazy things. And I think it's motivating the team from understanding who they are and listening to who they are. And they should respond by then listening to you and what you need and what you want as the salon owner or manager. And
very good
sort of reciprocation. You know, I'll listen to you if you listen to me. And the greatest gift that you can give any member of your team, or anyone in the world actually, is your time.
And to listen.
And to actively listen.
Actively listen. This is one of the key things. I mean, I've had to learn that lesson over life, but it's to really listen. And I think I remember working with Simon many years ago, and he made that fantastic point. And you've just said it then, and it's always stuck with me when I go in and I work with salons. There's room in a salon for all sorts of people. Not everybody, as you say, wants to be styling at London Fashion Week. And there will be people who are, and that's great. But there's people, as you say, that don't aspire to be the next great session stylist. And the great thing is recognizing that there's room, and actually not just there's room, there's a need for all those different types of personalities in your salon. You need all those people. And as you say, listen to what their aspirations and their needs are, acknowledge, recognize them, and help them fulfill that.
Yeah. So I'm going to give a concrete answer to Fiona's, because I don't like to talk about, you know, all stories. So if you agree with what I'm saying, Fiona, and you can relate to that, my suggestion would be that you start at your why. Why are we here? Why are you here? What is our goal? What is your goal? And then we need to put structures and strategies in place to make sure that people are treated fairly and they understand things are done for a purpose. And then we need to monitor, review, and communicate those things that we've set out to achieve. That's how you establish a great team culture, in my opinion. Now, it all sounds very boring, but if things are just done, you know, plucked from the sky, and if we just choose to do something because it just happened that way that day, then it's not consistent. And people love consistency. We are creatures of habit, I think. And as I said, you need the strategies in place to help your team perform well and to enjoy working for you under pressure, not under pressure. You know, whatever's happening in the week, motivating your team is about listening, engaging, structure, communication, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I've seen Fiona's question now. That's an excellent answer. Well, thank you to all the people. I mean, thank you again. It's very much appreciated. Lisa said that she found it a really useful session, and many thanks. Well, it's absolutely our pleasure. And as I say, we've got another feedback. This has been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. It's given me a structure, says Louise, for my return to work, staff meetings, and reminded me, I think you'll love this, Raymond, because, you know, that's great. More than anything, I think, you know, summing up, your reference to the why has been, I think, a lot of what people will take away from this. It's fundamental, it's simple, but as you say, everything we've said comes back to that. So thank you so much for all of the people who've taken the time to say thank you to us. And I'd like to say thank you to you, Raymond, because I knew it would be a great session with you, and big shout out to Jodie, our guide editor, who was very keen to get you here. And it's been fantastic. And I hope, well, I know that we are in for another period of lockdown before we even think about going back. I think from the response we've had, Ray, fantastic. It's great to meet you, Raymond, says Terry Wilson.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah. Anyway, Ray, I would like to hope that maybe we can reconvene. It seems to have been something so popular. Maybe you, in a few weeks' time, if we still find ourselves in this position, can put together what we did this time for those that weren't aware. Ray sort of gave us a little bit of a breakdown about what he was going to talk about, which I think was useful. And we shared that across our socials. And I know that Raymond would probably be happy to sort of like expand, and maybe we can touch on some other areas, and we will give you the heads up on that, which is good, so people know what we're going to be tackling, because I think some of these will really resonate. The pricing, I knew there'd be a lot of interest in that. So yeah, I mean, just let us know, give us some feedback. If you'd like another, I'm sure you'd be happy to oblige. Yeah?
Yes. Providing I'm not... Well, yeah, as long as it's, as you know, my diary is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
hairdresser, salon owner.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm getting up to. It's a crazy
painting.
time.
Let's not forget your decorating. You've got to squeeze put up the ladders in.
There has been a lick of paint on the wall, but not as much as the first lockdown. I was very ambitious and excited about painting in the first one. Now, as you say, at the start, not so much. You know, just wanting to get back to the salon, as I'm sure you all are.
Everybody
I think for me, it's been great speaking to everybody. And thank you, Good Salon Guide, Claire, for having me as well.
Absolute pleasure, Raymond. And we'll see you again soon. Good luck with everything, and good luck to all your members.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting. Fantastic. Thank you. Bye-bye.